Hi, friends. Welcome to my bookish life. It is my absolute honor to be here in conversation with Lorelei Savaryn today. She is the author of my favorite book of 2021, The Circus of Stolen Dreams, the upcoming The Edge of In Between, which is a definite contender for my top 10 2022, and the very distant future, but maybe more near future, The Night Train, if I'm remembering right.
Yeah, 2023.
Okay. It's not too far away.
No.
No.
What do you think?
Welcome to my channel.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. So excited.
Yeah. This is my very first time doing an author interview or anything like this, so
Well,
I hope
hopefully
I'm
the
not.
first of many.
Yeah. I hope I'm not too bad. Okay. This is in celebration of The Edge of In Between, which comes out on April 19th. So I'm hoping that this interview is going to go live on the 18th. So hopefully that's tomorrow.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. Tomorrow.
Yay. And The Edge of In Between is a secret garden retelling. And one of your, I just want to read this because I loved your reel from Instagram where you said, "This is a story of a girl turned gray from sorrow, a garden of ice and decay, and a land filled with ghosts. You've never seen the secret garden like this." Can you tell us a little bit more about The Edge of In Between, please?
Yes, I can. So my main character, Lottie, lives in the land of Vivel where everything is saturated in color, and she has magic inside her that comes out sort of in her love of art and painting, and she can see the colors of the magic inside all the people around her. And so she's got a very charmed life and a loving family. And since it's a secret garden retelling, she is orphaned very early on in the story. And when that happens, the color drains out of her world. So she turns gray. She only can see in gray, and she becomes what's known as one of the living gray, which are people in Vivel who have lost their color and whose magic has faded. And she receives an invitation to move into her uncle's mansion. Her uncle is kind of this strange magician type guy, and he lives in a place called the In-Between, which is a land filled with ghosts where the ghosts of people who have died make their way to the mountains of ever after. And so she decides that she's going to go and move in with her uncle and leave the land of the living behind, hoping that she's going to be reunited with her parents' ghosts. And she thinks, well, living with my parents as ghosts is better than not having my parents at all, so I'm going to do that. But when she gets there looking for her parents, she finds a wall that doesn't have a door, and she peeks inside through a crack, and she finds that the entire garden is encased in ice, almost like it was frozen in the middle of it, dying somehow. And so she decides she wants to get into that garden. And once she does, she starts to learn that maybe magic faded isn't magic forever lost, and that maybe she can find her way back to hope and healing and magic again if she can defeat the person who doesn't want her to heal. That's it.
I was literally crying when I read the part where she is orphaned, which is very early on, not a spoiler.
Yeah.
I was bawling. I was so engrossed in this poor, oh man, I was just so terribly sad for Lottie, and it was, yeah.
Same. When I wrote what became the first chapter in this book, I was writing it because her life is so beautiful in that first chapter, and I was just like, I am so sorry for what I am about to put you through, but it will be okay. And I felt bad, and I made her up in my head. So.
I mean, when I think of the Secret Garden, I think of Mary Lennox, who is just this spoiled brat, right? I mean, she doesn't really grieve her parents in the Secret Garden. I mean, they basically neglected her beyond, I mean, she had no reason to mourn her parents. And what I love about The Edge of In Between is that Lottie was her parents' whole world, and her parents were her whole world. Um, was that intentional? Like, did you set out to change certain aspects of The Secret Garden, or were there certain aspects that you were like, this needs to stay when you wrote it?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So actually in my early drafts, Lottie had a poor relationship with her parents too. And that was one of the moments for me. Some things weren't working and it wasn't this really the story I wanted to tell. So there was a point like 3 rounds into revisions where I realized to make the story right, I had to have her relationship with her parents be lovely and wonderful. And so I had to completely start over and write the whole thing over again at that point and change that. And I think that that allowed for her grief journey to be more authentic to what people, what kids for the most part could relate to. I know we can all have complicated relationships with our parents, but I wanted her first experience of loss just to be really true to like someone who had deeply loved, because I think we can all relate to like losing somebody that we deeply loved. So I chose to change that, and then there were certain like structural elements that I kept the same. So people who know The Secret Garden will notice certain things. Like I borrowed maybe just like a couple of lines from the actual original book when Mary meets her cousin in the original. One of them says to the other, "Are you a ghost?" And I use
Mhm.
that because it fit. 'Cause they're in a land filled with ghosts, so maybe they are. One of them is a ghost.
Yeah.
Like I kept certain like structural things in place, but then twisted and changed and reimagined. Hopefully enough of it that it feels very fresh too, and like an interesting take on it.
Yeah, I think it does. And I think others will agree as well. But I encourage you to read it yourself and see what you think. Did you know the ending when you started writing it?
So I knew, without giving like any spoilers away, I knew the emotional place that Lottie was going to land, where I wanted her to end up. But it was very tricky getting her there without the book feeling like I was trying to teach a lesson or like coming too heavy-handed. And I think I ended up in a really good balance. But I did know, like, I had pictures in my mind of what it's not even really like pictures. Like I knew what I wanted the ending to feel like. Like I knew
Yeah.
the feeling I wanted to leave readers with. So
Hmm.
that stayed for sure.
Awesome. So like I noticed with the Circus of Stolen Dreams, as well as The Edge of In Between, the concept for both of them they're just really original, and I just love the the plot points behind them. But they're largely steeped in grief and the grieving process. Uh, where did those ideas of grief and dealing with grief come from in your process of
Yeah.
writing?
So I write from really personal spaces. So the first book, The Circus of Stolen Dreams, was written while I was grieving, and I wanted to write a story about a girl who had a chance to save the one that she had lost, because I was really struggling with the fact that like I couldn't go back and fix and save the one I had lost. And so giving a character in a novel that was very healing. And I thought that maybe readers would enjoy also being able to at least vicariously live that kind of thing that we so often wish. Like, I wish I just had one more day with this person, or I wish I could somehow like change what happened, or um, so that was that. And then The Edge of In Between was written during COVID, and worked on very heavily during COVID. And I wrote it, I dedicated it to a family member who was grieving deeply at the time I was working on this. So they were on my mind. But I also just know that the world as a whole has experienced more loss in the past couple of years, than maybe
Hmm.
we would have otherwise. So it's just something that has been on my heart. And then the night train doesn't really deal with grief. It's more about like secrets and like the dangers of like different layers of like what happens when we keep secrets about different parts of ourselves. But I can only write from the the wounds and the pain, because it's how I help find a hopeful place. And then I hope that I can help lead people going through a similar thing to a hopeful place too.
Yeah, very cool. So switching gears then a little bit, can you tell us more about your writing process and what your typical day is like?
Yeah, so we were homeschooling for quite a while during COVID, and we just had enrolled the big 3 kids back in school. So we have a babysitter for our toddler 3 mornings a week. So on those days, I am able to write for 2 to 3 hours, pretty much uninterrupted, which is amazing. Prior to that, I was doing it as soon as my husband got home from work, because we have 4 kids. So like we just have had to fit it in, and it kind of ebbs and flows too, because there are times where I need to write more, and there are times when I'm revising. And right now I'm just like marketing and trying to tell people about this. So it ebbs and it flows. But if I can get in 2 or 3 hours where I can get some progress on a book, and some days I write more, and some days I'm writing, like yesterday I was writing something that was really emotional for me, and I had to stop at a certain point just because I was that was all I could do.
Took it out of you.
Yeah, I was like, that's all I have today.
Yeah.
But those are the scenes that I hope will resonate a lot with other people down the line too. And afternoons, like I said, I mean, a lot of writing is emails and social media these days, and trying to, kind of spread the word. So that's all kind of a part of it. But if I can have a day where I can have 2 or 3 hours to write, that's okay.
Yeah. And what are you doing when you're not writing?
Well, parenting the children, the 4 children and the dog. We do family game nights. I help with homework, grocery shopping, just, like mountains of laundry, all of the laundry. I love reading. So I don't get to do as much of it when I have a book coming out. So this summer, I'm really looking forward to kind of catching back up on my reading list. Yeah, and just like experiencing things and finally going places again. We like hiking. We're taking a trip to New York, so just different kinds of stuff.
So, what are some books that are on your list that you're hoping to get to?
I have, and I keep looking and staring at it longingly, this book called Sisters of the Neversea. It's a retelling of Peter Pan that kind of addresses some, like, like these books that were written a couple hundred years ago, like The Secret Garden has some like racism in it, and like different things, and colonialism, like things that were elements of the time, but that you talk about today. If you read them today, you say, hey, this was what it was like then, but we want to make,
right.
better choices. So the Sisters of the Neversea does that with Peter Pan. And it's written by an author who has Native American heritage. So it kind of addresses those issues in Peter Pan. And I'm just like staring at it. And I actually just read a book. Like, I'm reading you very soon. You're next. I also am, my list is You've Reached Sam, which is a young adult novel about a girl whose boyfriend passes away, but she can somehow like communicate with him on his phone still for a while. So that I'm looking at as a comp for the young adult that I'm writing right now. And then I just read a book called The Circus Train, which is an adult novel that's coming out in December for a blurb. It was amazing. And I'm really... So I was like, here's the blurb. It was awesome. Yeah, but that's like the only thing I've read like in a month of everything. So.
Right. I read a book that you had blurbed. Bookshelf of Dust and Dreams. Yes. Oh, that book was so good. And I was most intrigued by it because I saw your name on the back. And I was like,
to do, so that's good.
Yeah. I mean, the cover is beautiful. The concept is beautiful. but I was like, okay, Lorelei Savaryn says this is good, so this is on top of my list.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
it was beautiful, beautiful. And so, okay, so I don't know how to word this question. So in your author's note, you talk about pitch wars.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I've never heard about. But since following you, you talk about it quite a bit. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what is that? Could you tell us about that and how you got involved in it and
Yeah.
all of
So,
that?
yeah, Pitch Wars made a huge difference in a lot of writers' lives. They actually just announced that they are discontinuing that program, but there are other programs like it that are still
Okay.
in place. So, Author Mentor Match is still in place. Write Mentor is still in place. Rev Pit is still in place. But these are mentoring programs. So, people who want to become published apply to a small set of mentors who are either agented or published in your age range. And then those mentors wade through all their submissions and they maybe request to read the manuscript or whatever. And they pick one person that they're going to help and help them revise and just like come alongside them during the revision process. And then at the end of Pitch Wars, at least, there was an agent showcase where you would have like a sample of your book and a pitch, and agents could actually request your manuscript from that showcase. So it was
Wow.
very like high visibility, kind of high pressure. Like it was something that you had to like kind of take carefully with your mental health because it was very public. And people
Hmm.
had a variety of experiences with it. Mine was very good. My manuscript did well in the agent showcase, and I wasn't like one of the first people, but like within 6 weeks of Pitch Wars ending, I had like 5 agent offers on what became the Circus of Stolen Dreams, which is what I was then
Wow.
in, which was amazing. So I know I have Pitch Wars to thank for being at this point today because I learned so much about how to write a book and how to improve as a writer that I
Hmm.
wouldn't have gotten to that point anywhere near as quickly without the help of my mentors who are still some really great friends of mine. So that's Pitch Wars. They're not doing it anymore right now,
Right.
but
Now,
a lot of books. Actually, Bookshop of Dust and Dreams is a Pitch Wars book as well.
that's what I thought. I
Mhm.
thought she had said something in her author's note too about it, and that's what kind of made me segue there, where I was like, "Oh, was she in Pitch Wars too?" So
Yeah.
you meet a lot of other authors and just things like that. Is it like a was it like a conference type thing or?
No, you just do it all online. So like I
Oh,
communicated with my mentors like via email and we had a Google Drive like folder and we would like chat and so I actually have only met one of my mentors in person. I had two. They were like a team just like one time, but we still like hang out and chat and but it's all like online. And that's actually an interesting point. Most of my publishing entire career so far has been online. I have never met my agent in person. I've never met my
right.
editor in person. They're in New York and London. Like a lot of online.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if it's like real until like the book shows up. You're like, did this all happen?
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Did I dream that? Was it?
yeah, you can touch it now.
Yeah. What authors inspired you while you were growing up? Like, were
Mm.
you a reader when you were younger?
Yeah, I was the most bookish child. I'm actually going to go back to the school, East De Pere schools, where I graduated from, and do 3 different author visits at 3 of the schools. And I was just like, I'm just gonna be like, and I read here, and I read here, and I checked out all the books from here. But I really loved spooky books. Like there was a whole phase where I was into like ghost stories and like Goosebumps. I loved the Babysitters Club. I read Anne of Green Gables in like a single summer day. Like I just stayed in my room and just read all day until I finished Anne of Green Gables. Um, so I loved like some of those classic feeling books and the Babysitter's Club. I just couldn't get enough of. I devoured so many of those, but I was like the kid who would
Mhm.
take home a reading log and like come back with all the lines filled out just because I had read so much over spring break. So lots of books.
Right. My students are all gobbling up the graphic novels of the Babysitters Club, and I'm like, "Oh, guys, you have no idea." Like, I mean, these are great, but oh man, they were so much better. I read all those.
Yeah,
I read those too. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, I'm just
they're
gonna kick
still
my.
really. My daughter just read The Ghost at Dawn's House, and because I kept my couple
Oh,
favorites, and she loved that.
yeah. Oh, love it. I knew I liked you. We're just like book twins here. Although I just read Anne of Green Gables for the first time last year, and
Ooh,
I felt
yeah,
I know. I know. I read all the time. One of my friends yelled at me. Not really, but she was giving me grief about it. And I was like, fine, I'll read it. And I was calling her and I was like, you didn't warn me. Oh, man.
so good.
All right. Those are the questions that I have about the edge of in between and about your writing career. But I thought that we would
Nice.
play a little game.
I'm in.
So this is this or that. And so this is Circus of Stolen Dreams. So you could just say circus. And that is the edge of in between. So you can just say edge. And I'm going to ask you questions and you have to tell me if you would answer
Got it.
with circus or edge. So which plot was easiest to write?
Okay. Circus.
Circus? Okay. Really?
Circus. Yeah.
Oh,
Because I had to start The Edge of In Between over in a panic on a deadline with
that's
Penguin Random
true.
House. So there was a different level of
Yeah.
anxiety.
I was just thinking because with Edge, you had the inspiration novel and like
Mhm.
Circus was a completely new thing, but that does make sense. Which book has a character that is
Yeah, I think,
most like you?
yeah, well, and I also think
What?
okay. Um, so oh, sorry. My thing was like a little delayed. So I was gonna say the retelling was like actually a little trickier than like I thought it would be because you had to stick close enough, but also make it your own. So it was kind of tricky. Um,
That's true.
but
Yeah.
let's see. Okay, character, yeah, character most similar to me. I have to think for just a second. Um, I think mm, I think Circus. I think Andrea probably
Mm.
from Circus of Stolen Dreams.
Uh, Andrea is such a good character. I love her heart and her passion. And oh,
Mhm.
Andrea's a good character. Which book took the longest to write?
I think they were about the same. I think about the same when all was said and done. We were looking at like 2.5 2 years ish a pop
Okay.
for both.
That's so, that's such dedication. I love it.
Mhm.
I'm so glad you kept writing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you have a book like this, like you, or when you have an idea for a book, you have to be willing to, like, you have to love it enough to want to live in it for that amount of
Mhm.
time because that's about as fast as it's going to go. So you have to love the concept enough that I can sit in a story in some capacity for 2 3 years.
Mm. I like that to want to live in it and being willing to live in it. I like that. Which book I might know the answer to this one. Which book changed the most from first draft to final draft? I guess right.
Yeah. I mean, they both changed quite a bit. I mean, if I would like the first draft of Circus is very different from the final draft of Circus, but like this one was just like a blank document start over. So
Right. All right. So I'll hold up Circus and you can hold up Edge. So which one do you like the cover of most?
I can answer that. I think right now I'll have to go just with Edge, like just by a hair because it's the one like that is the freshest and the newest. And I love the pink and the springtime. And I felt like Circus
Yeah.
was perfect for the fall, but I'm ready for flowers. So like right now I'm just kind of like this is the one that's pulling my eye, I guess, at the moment. But I've been really lucky with my covers.
Yeah. I do. I love this font. Like this font is gorgeous. I just love that.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the purple on Edge. Yeah. They're both great. Uh yeah. Which book has a character that was the most fun to write?
I love Penny Periwinkle in The Circus of Stolen Dreams. I love her. But that said, I loved writing Lottie too. So I don't know. That's like asking me which of my children is my favorite. Like, it's like it's really tough to answer.
Right. I thought a lot of these were kind of like asking.
Yeah,
Ooh, that one's kind of mean. I did enjoy Penny. Penny was, but I love Lottie, and I love Lottie's name. Like, I just love that name so much.
Yeah. I just heard my audiobook narrator. The audiobook sample is up, and she has a British accent, and the way she says Lottie with her accent, I'm just like, yay. So good.
I just love with audiobooks where sometimes you just want to be like, can you just call my house and read the phone book or something and just
Yep.
Oh. Okay, those are the questions that I have. That's it.
Those were so good. Thank you.
That was so fun. Is there anything else you would like my viewers to know?
So fun. I think, if you find my book and read it and enjoy it, please tell your friends about it. My first book came out during COVID, so I still feel very much like a new author who's just trying to let people know that my stories are here. I also love doing school visits and book club visits. So LoreleisSavaryn.com has a really easy say hello tab. And I love hearing from readers too. Even if you just enjoy the story and want to say hi, that's always really nice.
Yeah, and you're actually going to be meeting with my students in May.
So excited.
Yes. I'm so excited. As I'm trying to do both things. I want to interview for my YouTube channel and I want my students to meet you. And
yes, I would love to.
Yes. Yeah. So I haven't talked to them a lot about it, but I have talked about Edge and I've talked about Circus, and I've had at least a couple really read and really enjoy The Circus of Stolen Dreams. So I'm very excited to get my signed copy of The Edge of In Between in my hands very soon.
Yes, it'll be on its way to you. By the weekend, hopefully it'll be in the mail. So yay.
Yay. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up with my send off and I'll talk with you in just a second. Okay. All right. So if you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos from me, please make sure that you have subscribed. I hope you're finding something wonderful to read. And until next time, happy reading. Bye.